Well, we're back at the Model A, and I'm wore out for the day. Starting to look like a tractor. Some things I did. I fixed my oil line back here. I put another ferrule on it and got the line up on it. It was leaking. It wasn't right. It goes underneath this little widget right here. That's the way I'm putting it. And kind of wrapped around the throttle. I fixed the throttle on the carburetor so it doesn't hang up. That was a genuine pain in the ass, as this had broke off, but now I have it pretty smooth now. I have a stack of washers on there because I drilled my hole in the bottom for the keyway. Let me see if I can show you the key. The key is right underneath there. It's just a little key that goes through there, like to hold it in place. But what I had to do is I had to do some bending and some fixing. I had to fix this line back here. It was bent and greasy. There's a nut right here, and it adjusts your throttle, and it was out too far. And I put a wrench on it and thinking I could turn it, snapped it right off. Of course, that cost about an hour and a half to get that out of there and retap it and whatnot. I'm telling you, every nut and bolt on one of these things you have to put heat on. And if you don't put heat on it, you're going to be sorry, because it's going to snap right off. You might think that the bolts, oh boy, this is old steel, it's really good. It's not. It's pretty flimsy, actually, kind of real mild. Battery in place. Went to a garage sale this weekend, and I saw this. I'm going to bend this and heat it and bend it in place. It's a little cutting board, a little Rubbermaid cutting board. I'm going to put that underneath our battery here, and that's going to protect that battery a little bit. I don't have a tray. I've still yet to fix my tie down on the other side, but I did put wire in my welder where I could weld it up. Okay, let me tell you something. Before you get in a position where you're going to be like me, your intake goes on first. The water manifold goes on second. If you don't put the water manifold on before you put the fan shaft on, you're going to end up having to take the fan shaft back off because you can't slip your water manifold underneath there unless you have bolts. I have studs. Maybe some of you guys have bolts. I don't know. Some of them have bolts, some have studs. Also, I'm going to have to figure out a way to snick a hose in there. I looked at my hose collection, and I seem to have some 2.5, and I have a big piece of 3-inch. So and none of this fits. So I need about 2 3/4 or something like that, somewhere in the middle. Probably I will take this pipe here that I finished. I cleaned up and cleaned the inside of it. This is the lower pipe. Incidentally, this one was in really good shape, and probably it was replaced. It's almost new. It looked like it was new. Well, new for whatever, looked okay. Wasn't cheesed up real bad. Probably had to replace it because it probably froze and broke or something like that. Back to the tractor. So you want to make sure you take your manifold and put your manifold on first, then your water manifold or your water jacket right there, and then your fan shaft go on. It's rough taking everything all back apart again and putting things all back together. Got my alternator on. I have a little bracket right here. I bolted on there. It's just kind of loose right now. What I did is I've got it all bolted in place, and it was really sloppy, and I was afraid it would move. So the big washers I had underneath there, I touched them with a little bit of weld, and I took it off and welded those on, and that made it a lot more secure. It wasn't all sloppy, and it straightened everything all up. I have a string here that's holding my radiator back as far as I could because I had to get my fan out of there. Anyways, I do have a loop here. I'm going to take to the hardware store or the parts store, and that is the size of my fan belt. That can go a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller because the adjustment's kind of in the center. So I'll see what I can find and do that. So I'm going to get a fan belt for this and then fit that on there next, and then adjust my alternator. Probably set my radiator back in there after I put my hose on there. I'll have to get me a piece of pipe too, some water hose for the top and the bottom. So that's in the works. So I'll need a belt and some water pipe. Fix the battery. Still haven't done that yet. And today I dropped off the old pipe, the old exhaust pipe at a muffler shop, and he's going to cut the end of it off, bend me a new pipe for it. This is the muffler that was on it. This is the stack. And what I'm going to do is cut holes in this, and I'm going to put a top on it, cut it down a little bit and weld a top on it, and then I'm going to slip a piece of 3" over it and weld it down here, and then come up and I'll put a little cone, some sort of little cone, and then a piece of this at the very top, and I'm not going to make it any bigger than or any taller than this stack because you won't be able to pull it in and out of the garage. But I'm going to make my own stack because anybody can buy one. So, and that was, he didn't, I know the guy, he's not going to charge me hardly nothing to bend a piece of pipe, a few bucks, you know, I might $20 or something like that. Whereas, you know, if you buy a pipe and a stack, it's going to cost you X. So I bought some welding wire and I put it in my little Harbor Freight welder today, and that's the handiest little thing. If you don't have it, I spent $99 on that welder. It's a MiG 100 from Harbor Freight. It has just been rock solid. You weld with it a little while though, and it shuts itself off because it gets hot. It doesn't have a fan in it, but it works really well. So we're on our way. I get some water in this, and I'll try to start it again and see how our carburetor is going to work. Of course, I'm just going to put water in it because I know better than to dump antifreeze in it when it starts leaking. Just like I only put 4 bolts in the engine cover because I know I'm going to be back into it 72 times. I'm only going to put water in this because I don't want to mop up gallons and gallons of antifreeze on the floor. Until it can prove to me that it's not going to leak, it gets water. Alright.